Joining us now is royal commentator Josh Rom. Josh, it's great to see you again. Extraordinary news with Buckingham Palace announcing that Prince Andrew is being stripped of his titles, including Prince. So he is, of course, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and he's agreed to vacate his Windsor estate after losing the support of his former wife, Sarah Ferguson. Josh, there is so much to unpack. I can't wait for you to bring us right up to speed with what is happening with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and, of course, Fergie, who intends to make her own plans now.
Yes, that's right. So Prince Andrew, well, the Andrew formerly known as Prince, I should say. So Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who will therefore be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been ordered to vacate Royal Lodge. Of course, this comes under absolutely intense public pressure after his living arrangements, the peppercorn rent, the lease, all came under intense scrutiny following both the allegations from Virginia Giuffre, as explained in her novel, the alleged 3 sexual acts, or the 3 times that she alleges that she had that her and Prince Andrew, 3 alleged incidents in the book, basically. And of course, Prince Andrew was caught out lying in that bombshell BBC Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis over when exactly he cut contact with Jeffrey Epstein. He of course said that he cut contact in 2010. Then emails were exposed saying where he said, "We're in this together, we'll play soon." Pretty damning evidence there. So, Prince Andrew being humiliated in the biggest way possible, having not just his royal titles, not just the Duke of York title, not just the Earl of Inverness, but the very title, the very Prince title, his birthright being stripped from him now. Buckingham Palace releasing that bombshell statement saying that he will be moving to alternative accommodation privately funded by his brother, His Majesty the King, on the Sandringham estate. I'm predicting a very sad existence for Prince Andrew, a much more quiet existence. Yes, he'll be able to play golf. Yes, he'll be able to go on holidays, but I'm not sure these shooting weekends will necessarily happen in the future. His very purpose in life, that birthright purpose in life, has been completely stripped from him in an unprecedented way, in the most public way possible. His life is now going to be reduced to a very privileged hermit.
I think you're right. Now, what about Princess Beatrice and Eugenie? They've, of course, fled the UK and are reportedly barely holding it together, Josh.
Yes, that's right. Both of them have fled the UK. Princess Beatrice, I think she's been spotted with a business economic initiative in Saudi Arabia. So, and actually, Princess Beatrice has been smiling for the pictures. Of course, both Beatrice and Eugenie will both actually carry on. They will still hold both their princess titles and their York titles as well. So actually they're very different from Prince Andrew and of course his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson, who is understood now. I originally predicted that she would stay with Prince Andrew. Now she's reportedly been telling sources close to her and friends that actually she's making alternative arrangements. I think when Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were living in that 30-room, that expansive Royal Lodge residence on the Grand Windsor estate, they had separate areas. There was enough space to keep their distance. Now, with Prince Andrew probably going to be moving into a much smaller, probably more sparse accommodation on the Sandringham estate, that separation, even though that they've been living together since their divorce, it's going to be a very different existence. But Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, it must be so tough for them, because notwithstanding the fact that Prince Andrew still denies all allegations of wrongdoing, Princess Beatrice and Eugenie are completely innocent. They've had absolutely nothing to do with it. They have no responsibilities over their parents. They're just trying to get on with their lives, their own careers, while still maintaining some sort of connection with the royal family to appear on certain public events when required. This must be deeply embarrassing for them. So, and whilst actually Princess Eugenie is actually on a girls' weekend in Paris, trying to let her hair down, both of them. I think they're just trying to carry on with their lives, whilst it must be deeply embarrassing for the princesses, for their parents to be engulfed in huge scandal.
Now, Prince William and Princess Catherine have reportedly moved into their new Forest Lodge home in Windsor with their 3 children, which means they'll be closer to Andrew ahead of his departure. Also, Josh, Prince William and Princess Catherine have also reportedly thrown a party for the workmen who helped them move into Forest Lodge sooner than expected. Is that right? Also reports that they're very keen for a bit of a fresh start.
Absolutely, they're keen for a fresh start. So you might remember that in 2022, they moved into Adelaide Cottage, a 4-bedroom residence on the Windsor Castle estate, a much smaller residence than Royal Lodge. Of course, they still have Amner Hall, their huge country home, and their official London residence is still apartment 1A in Kensington Palace. However, of course, with Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis and getting over that, undertaking the preventative chemotherapy treatment, they're now moving into their forever home. Now, the Prince and Princess of Wales were meant to move in to Forest Lodge after Christmas. However, they brought their plans forward, and actually they've spent the school half term settling into their new home with their 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. And yes, they did, as a gesture of thank you to the workmen who were working around the clock to try and get them in early. They moved their plans forward. They threw, as reports suggested, a thank you party for the workmen at the private members York Club pub, which is a members-only pub specifically for the residents and employees of the Crown Estate in Windsor. So this was a real nice gesture of thank you after bringing their plans forward. Workmen working around the clock, wanting to get them into what's been deemed by sources close to the Prince and Princess of Wales as their forever home. Now, this is an 8-bedroom mansion, grade 2 listed, built in the 18th century, very different from Adelaide Cottage, which is far smaller than their new Forest Lodge.